What up, what up, what up? Football fans all over the world. It's your boy Mac the Giants fan here with my guy, the super dope co-host, and Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac the Giants fan here with my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas, man. Adam, how you feeling today, brother?
I'm fired up after that intro, Mac. My God, you held that last note and really fired up, bringing the energy today. I love it. But I'm doing all right. Got some old people ailments. Just my back is sore and shit. So other than that, I'm doing okay. Your friends, how are they? They're good. Everybody's good with you.
Man, I'm great, man. Everything is great, man. I mean, as good as it can be. Dealing with some things, going a few things in life, but that's life, man. Everybody has to deal with those kind of things. But we're gonna keep pushing, man, and everything is hopefully will work itself out.
Hey, Daniel, what's going on?
What's up, Daniel, man? It's always good to see you. I appreciate you stopping by, Daniel. But let's get right to it, man. NFC East last week, whew. A week 8 to forget for pretty much the majority of the NFC East. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles being the only ones to come away with a victory, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But let's start right now. Let's start in Dallas, man. Went down to Denver. Found after Denver, coming off that big win against the Giants the week before in Week 7, man, and they got to stay home and host the Dallas Cowboys in Week 8, and this was a tough day for the Dallas Cowboys, man. Denver Broncos offense absolutely exploded. Dak Prescott has been playing up to an MVP level up to this point this season, but a day to forget for Dak Prescott as well. And Dallas Cowboys just had a really tough day, man. Getting the wheels blown off. 24-44 was the final score here, man. What is your thoughts on this game against the Broncos on Sunday, Adam?
Well, I was not necessarily surprised by the outcome of the game. I was just surprised by the Cowboys' offense. I thought they'd be able to do something, being that the Giants who couldn't get out of their own way this week scored 30-something points. I thought the Cowboys would make it a little bit of a track meet, and then, the defense would succumb. This was just an overall beatdown from the jump. I think it was a game that, the Cowboys are who they are. They can beat the teams that are basically on their level, but bigger, better teams, they shows there was a talent discrepancy out there. Now, they made Dak Prescott look terrible, but when your defense can't stop a nosebleed, doesn't matter what your offense does. There's nobody that picks up the other side of the ball. If the offense doesn't work for the Cowboys, they have no chance of winning, and that's what happened. When the offense sputters with a good defense coming to town and, really shaking up that young offensive line and stifling the run and being able to match up with the corners and receivers that they got and forcing Dak Prescott into errant throws and things of that nature. Well, guess what? That's what happens because the Cowboys aren't strong on the back end. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. And, they let Denver march up and down the field and, basically run all over them. And whether it was Bo Nix running or throwing, they couldn't stop anything. And I think this is the Cowboy team that we see. Like when we preview their game this week, I think that'll be a game that they can, kind of be in, so to speak. But this kind of game with what was on the line, I just think it was a little too much for the Cowboys. And let's give Denver its props. I mean, we need to really respect them. They're leading one of the hardest divisions of football right now. You obviously know they got Kansas City on their heels, and so, as well as the Chargers. So they came out and they made that game against the Giants matter, and they came out and they played basically 5 great quarters of football. Scoring 44 points in this game and They scored 77 points in 5 quarters. Another team gave up 71 in 5 quarters. So you see the difference of teams. Cowboys are going to be this team, like we said, every week. They're going to be up. They're going to be down. When they play a team like the Cardinals that they got next week, I think they'll have a better chance. But against Denver in that defense, they were not – they need a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, you hit some good points there. And I think this is a prime example of a team with a Denver. For instance, when you have such a monumental victory, in a sense, not monumental because you beat the Giants, but how they beat the Giants. Yes. You know what I mean? When you have to come off a victory like that, that just kind of gives you a boost, that a spark, like, hey, we can accomplish anything. And I mean, even leading up to when Denver played the Giants that week, one of the main keys, at least I was saying, was like, Denver's offense, defense is phenomenal, but their offense is like, it's kind of so-so, kind of stagnant. No, Bo Nix is a good young quarterback. He's not necessarily great, and it's not necessarily, you don't see explosiveness when you see Denver Broncos offense. And they, that 33-point effort against the Giants in the fourth quarter, mind you, 33 points in the fourth quarter against the New York Giants. And then just going to this next following game against Dallas Cowboys, man, and they just kept that ball rolling, except they did it for 4 quarters this time and just spread it all out, and just the offense was just clicking on all cylinders, man. Like Bo Nix, 4 touchdown passes on the day. People keep trying to put Bo Nix down, man. Look, sure, he's not the best quarterback in the NFL. Maybe he's not necessarily a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but he's still on the higher upside. You know what I mean? As far as the top, he's still in the top half of the league. I would put him as I'm ranking quarterbacks. He'd be in the top half at least, regardless. And people just keep trying to talk about what Bo Nix isn't, and Bo Nix can't do this, and Bo Nix can't do that. What Bo Nix can do is win football games, and that's what he's been doing since he's been a Denver Bronco for the last 2 years now. Yep. Winning football games. That's what it's all about. It's not about all the style points. It's not all about what looks great. It's not about all the pretty touchdown dances and all that. It's about results and getting the job done, and that's what they do. And they, like I said, I think they came into this game with a whole lot of momentum, and they just really just took it all out on the Cowboys. Unfortunately, the Cowboys defense, obviously, we know is a suspect unit, and the Denver Broncos went out there and exploited it, man. I mean, you talk about the kid, the running back, J.K. Dobbins, big day, 15 carries, 111 yards on the day. Right. Like I said, I already spoke on Bo Nix with the 4 touchdown passes at 247 yards in the air. I mean, these guys were just feeling it, man. He spread the ball around really well to his receivers. It was a clinic, man. They caught the Denver Broncos at the wrong time. I feel like I said, I think that's kind of more or less what the Cowboys happened. They unfortunately caught the Denver Broncos after coming off, like I said, what was a monumental victory the following week, man. That's the kind of thing that elevates and boosts team, man. And I think this Denver Broncos team, they have a championship level defense, and if the offense can continue to play at a level similar to what they did on Sunday, it's going to be hard to stop this football team, man. They're going to be tough to handle down the stretch. They are built for playoff football, I feel like. So they're going to be an interesting team.
You say that, and they lost Patrick Surtain. So hopefully, he's not too banged up. I don't know what the status is. I do know he hurt a pec muscle, so I don't know what they're going to designate him as. But I do agree with you on the point of them meeting him at a bad time and what a win does for a team like that. People, when you do something that the Broncos did historically in an inspiring fashion on a day they're honoring one of their own, right, and you come back from behind in a way that you haven't seen in almost 50 years, and then you come in and you take it out on the Cowboys, that's exactly what they did. They found the momentum, they found themselves, and we need to start talking about them in the conversation, right, of top teams in the at least the top 4, possibly in the NFL, because their defense, like you said, is championship caliber. Their coach has been there before. Their quarterback, who's a gamer. Okay, I hate this Bo Nix slander. I feel like people just don't like the way Bo Nix looks, and they complain about it. I mean, if he were my quarterback and we were winning, I wouldn't complain. I'm like, oh man, it's Bo Nix. The kid does what he needs to do, through 4 touchdown passes. I mean, geez, like we had our quarterback now is throwing 4 touchdown passes, but before that, we would have taken 4 touchdown passes in a heartbeat. This guy is doing it week in and week out. All he does is win. He's a gamer. He's got experience. He's done a lot of things. And I think if you look across the league, right, there's 2 teams in the NFL draft that probably would trade for Bo Nix right now if they had the chance to draft him again. That'd be probably the Bears, and that'd probably be Atlanta right now because those two guys are struggling out of that class, and the other three guys are doing well. Yeah, that's right. Drake May's also doing well as well. So, but you got to put Bo Nix up there. We had this conversation. It'd probably be Jaden Daniels 1, Drake May 2, and then Bo Nix number 3 as the quarterbacks. Because if you're telling me this is what I'm getting in my production, I'm getting a playoff victory, and I'm also now getting another possible playoff berth coming down the stretch. I do believe Broncos are going to be there at some point. I mean, they're on their way at least, right? You would trade that in a heartbeat, and opposed to Michael Penix who's having an up and down year, and Caleb Williams, who also is not also put it together. So we slander this guy Bo Nix as if like, oh well, he's not. All he's doing is winning. You think the Vikings wouldn't want Bo Nix right now? They're telling you that JJ McCarthy may not be ready. Are you kidding me right now? Bo Nix, they had a chance to draft that guy. They're hurting right now for not drafting Bo Nix. They'd be probably in a better spot drafting Bo Nix. So I just want to say, the guy may not be flashy or dashy, and maybe you don't. Maybe people have a vendetta against him, and it's not the prettiest quarterback you've ever seen. But there are times where he makes throws. Like last year, he threw a bomb in a Monday night game from his own 2-yard line to his receiver, went 97 yards. And people are like, oh, well, he can't throw the deep ball. And all of a sudden, he's throwing the deep ball in that mile-high air, and it's landing perfectly in his receiver's hands. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand the Bo Nix slander. I mean, he's got his team cooking right now. And I just don't understand why people hate him so much. So that's all I need to say about that. Cowboys, they are who they are. This is what they do. Defensively, they have nobodies. They have nobody on defense. That's what they're probably going to invest in next year. They're probably also going to draft a quarterback at some point with one of these first-round picks. And maybe they trade for somebody. I'm hearing they're on the trade market for one of these guys. They do have the ammunition. And if I'm them, I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with the Cowboys right now, right? Because Brian Schottenheimer has got the team cooking against bad teams. When it's good teams, they don't have the horses yet to play them. They couldn't stop the Broncos for nothing. And when you can't stop the run and you can't stop the pass, you just can't stop them. I don't even think the Broncos punted in this game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe once, twice. Yeah, I don't. You might have the stats in front of you.
I'm going to look and see. I'm going to look and try to see if I can find out.
Because to me, if you can't stop anybody, that's what's going to happen to you. And just like with the team we're going to talk about later, sometimes these teams that we poo-poo on and talk about and shit on, sometimes they are really good. And we got to just give Broncos the props and know where the Cowboys are. They're rebuilding. They're figuring it out. I don't know if Schottenheimer is going to be the coach long term. That's yet to be determined. However, his team does, bounce back, and I think they'll have a bounce back game this week. But they
are confirmed. No punts for the Broncos in this game.
So you can't win games when you can't get off the field, right? When you don't make stops, when you don't make the other team even. I don't even know. Did they have a turnover? Did they have any turnovers?
Yeah, Bo Nix threw an interception.
Okay. So you got an forced interception. Probably didn't do much with it, right, in the game. I didn't follow all of it. I followed some of it, but it was such a blowout that every time I looked up, the Broncos were putting it in the end zone again. I thought, and then what surprised me? What surprised me was the Cowboys' performance. I thought they were going to come off that victory that they had, right, and running around on offense. And I thought they were going to come out and, not make the Broncos look bad, but really make us see if the Broncos defense was for real. Well, guess what? They're fucking for real. Okay? They're fucking for real.
Oh, absolutely. They're not only are they for real. This is what happened in this football game. This is kind of the story of this game. Well, not only like other what we mentioned before about catching the Broncos at the wrong time, but also just the fact that the Cowboys defense is absolutely atrocious. And the fact that they're pretty much seem like they're never going to have a good game. And it's always going to be on the offense. The success of the Cowboys is always going to be on the offense. The offensive side of the ball cannot have the kind of game that they had on Sunday. And that's just what happened. The offense just came and they didn't have a great game. Dak had his worst game of the season thus far. And that's it. That's all she wrote for the Cowboys. The defense ain't gonna keep you in it. Your defense ain't gonna do nothing to save the day. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of what it's gonna be for the Dallas Cowboys. Unless that offense is cooking, they're not really gonna have much of a chance against probably anybody, to be honest. If that offense is not cooking, they're gonna. It's always gonna be a long day for the Dallas Cowboys. It just seems that way.
And I don't think that's going to happen a lot of times. I think they'll be able to cook because their offense is prolific. I think they met a defense that understood how to defend them, got off the field when they needed to get off the field, and their offense continued to score, right? Even though they got a turnover. So when that happens, yeah, Dak is going to force things and he's going to be uncomfortable. And I think they had a good game plan. I don't think it's going to happen this week. I think they're going to make their adjustments. I think they're playing a far less, strenuous opponent. Then again, they could do Cowboy things, but I think their one Cowboy game of the year was Carolina. I think the game coming up this week, they'll bounce back. You'll see. I think their Dak understands it, but like you said, if they don't score and make it a track meet, they have no other way of beating you because their defense is so atrocious. It's not like the defense is getting stopped. It sounds like another team that plays in the same conference. Actually, it sounds like three teams that play in the conference. The defense is pretty weak, and they can't stop anybody. And unless their offenses rise above everything, these three teams are going to have the most trouble. And I know you know who we're talking about. So it's wow. And Mechie, what the heck is MC2? Jeez,
I don't know. I don't know who MC2 is either. I was going to ask. I don't know who MC2 is, but I know who Michi is. One of their rookies. Was a rookie, right? The kid they drafted this past year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, no, Mechie is the receiver. Alabama, who they picked up this year. And was having obviously Jahan Dotson was there. They're not utilizing him the same way, so they can make that trade. Good to bring that up. We'll talk about that trade in a little bit when we get to the Eagles. But to wrap it up with the Cowboys, it's just like you said, it's too hard for them. They have to play a perfect game on offense and do just enough on defense to give up a punt or two. Because if they do, and they play another offense that's inferior to them, they're going to be able to be in a game. Carolina was able to, run them down their throats. They had a solid run game in that game, and their offense is just enough. I don't think that's going to happen again this week against their team that's coming up.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, Michael Carter. So I just looked it up too. Yeah, Michael Carter II. Well, that's Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles doing what Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles do. Never resting on their laurels, always looking to improve, looking to make things better, man. That back end, they've had some issues with that kind of corner two spot. Not really feeling very satisfied with what production they've been getting, and they're looking to maybe find some kind of an upgrade, man. Possibly, I'm not sure if that's the role they're bringing them in to fill for sure. I don't really know. But I would assume
they'll probably be in the starting lineup or in the rotation at least. They're trying to get back end help. Cooper DeJean is a good slot receiver. Quinyon Mitchell is pretty good. So if they bring in MC2 and he does anything for them, it'll help in the back end with their pass rush. It's basically, either way, Cooper on the inside or outside, however they want to do that. He's been playing phenomenal football and allow them to be a little bit better on the back end and, get stronger. But again, let's just wrap up the Cowboy game real quick, and then we'll jump. Once we get into them, we can talk about the MC2 trade and how it may benefit the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said it was pretty much what we need to say about the Cowboys. I mean, look, this team is predicated on scoring points. If they're not scoring points on the offensive side of football, their defense ain't stopping no damn body. I mean, has the defense even played? I think their defense might have played one good game all season thus far through 8 weeks, if I can remember.
The Eagles,
if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So it's like this defense is just
that's their best game of the year. That game they were close. They were in it at the end. They made a few stops. I know the long layover. It was the first game, but that was of all the games I've watched of the Cowboys. That's the game where I thought they had the best defensive output. Right? They held their opponent 24 points. They were in the game for most of it. They shut out. They only let the Eagles score one touchdown in the second half of that football game, and it was just better for them. Their offense, on the other hand, kind of sputtered that night again, and that's kind of what happened. The Eagles played a solid game on defense and got off the field, But if you're talking about overall performances, I think that's the best one that they've had.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's just let's see. What's even like you said, I can't. I find it hard. You're not going to get that every week from the Cowboys. You're not going to. Dak's not going to come out and play that poorly
No.
every week. I mean, it's just not going to. That's not going to happen, man. You know what I mean? So I think it's just this week didn't work out for them. They got the doors blown off, and this is what it is. This is what the story of the Cowboy season is going to be. But that's all I got for the Cowboys. You're done. We can move on.
Yep.
If you want to talk about this, trade real quick while it's kind of in the conference air right now. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it helps them immensely. It's going to help their defense. You're basically getting better with one addition because you're getting to get a guy moving to a better position, and Cooper DeJean moving to the outside. He's right now in the slot, even though he can play a slot. You get a guy that now can play a slot. You're upgrading two positions with one trade, which is a good trade for them. The Jets get a receiver. They need some receiving help. Clearly, they're in rebuild mode. They're in sell mode. Obviously, they probably didn't want to they probably called for Sauce, and they got a different guy. Obviously, the Jets, who spent big free agency money on the Baltimore corner, who's not that great, obviously, told Carter, hey, listen, we're not utilizing you enough. We can get at least a 7th round pick, and basically the Jets are gearing up for. They need ammunition because they're going to need to move up for get a quarterback in this draft. So they're going to need all the picks that they can get to throw in that deal when they need to move up. So getting another receiver is not bad for them. Getting a corner, what did I tell you? The rich get richer. And guess when he comes in? During their bye week. So he comes in during their bye week. There's no pressure to play this week or next week. So basically he can come in. He can get acclimated with his team, acclimated with the facility this weekend. Get put up in the hotel and whatever he needs and his housing done, and bang, then he can jump right in next week, right in and start game planning. So I think it's a good move for them right during a time of rest for them, and they're getting guys back like Brandon Graham, Cooper DeJean. They're getting some of their linemen back. I spoke with AK this morning. I said this is the best team that makes adjustments, and they already just made one, right? And I feel like this is where they're going to ascend in the second half of the year. So, but we'll get to them in a little bit and how it's going to get a little bit more detail and how I think it's going to affect the defense overall. So,
to me, the trade, which makes it brilliant once again for the Eagles, is because you have a player that's as talented as Cooper DeJean that can play both positions. Now, the only thing I'm going to miss is, as a football fan, is the fact that I believe Cooper DeJean was like the best slot corner in the league already as it was. Like he was, to me, the best at that spot to me in the league as it was. I mean, he's phenomenal. He was a playmaker at that spot. I mean, he's everything we wish Drew Phillips was in a sense, as he's the overall package. You know what I mean? Like, not to knock. I'm not trying to take a crack at Drew Phillips. Drew Phillips just doesn't have the whole total package like Cooper DeJean. You know what I mean? He's not a liability in coverage back there. He gets the job done. I mean, he'll get up there and make a stick and make those tackles. You know what I mean? He's good. He's a good blitzing from the corner spot. Cooper DeJean, this trade to me just shows you that's the Eagles trust in a player like that, because they should have that trust in him because he is that phenomenal of a talent. Now, like you said, you can just move him outside, let him, which he's been doing for the last couple of weeks anyway. In a sense, he's been outside for the last couple of weeks anyway, and now you can bring another guy in and insert him right in your slot in the slot spot that is very more than capable of getting the job done as well. And something about when you join a good team, you come from such a bad squad like the Jets, and you get to join an actually winning franchise, a team that's coming off a championship and is poised to potentially win another one. It's funny how that can all of a sudden just raise the level of play for certain people, man. This might be the best thing for a guy like Michael Carter, man. Once again, the Eagles, man, are just Kylie Roseman should put on a seminar for GMs every year or something, like a seminar. This is how you do it, guys. This is what you need to do. Well, you know what I mean?
Well, you look at it though. It's constant communication with your coach as well. Right, and sitting down there on a Wednesday and evaluating, hey, listen, we're solid with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Let's see if we can upgrade the position of slot and really help out our defense going forward. Well, guess what? You do that, now you can match up with many teams in the league, right? You can have a defense that's very versatile. You still got guys that can help you out in certain areas, and you get to put the better players at the better positions, right? Cooper DeJean is an amazing talent that he can play inside. I agree with you. I thought he was more of a slot guy, but if you bring him in and he can play, he can give you a solid cornerback 2 numbers, right? Hell, he may be quarterback 1. I think he's playing better than Mitchell right now, to be honest with you. But let's say let's say they both start to find themselves. You're going to have 2 solid corners for the remainder of the year, not to mention a slot corner. Now you're really cooking with gas, right? Now you're really cooking with gas, as they say. So again, like I said, the Eagles are who they are. The rich get richer. They deal with things smartly, right? They went around the league. They made a few phone calls. They found the teams that were willing to rebuild, and they made their move. And we'll see how it pans out. But again, smart move. Getting him during the bye week, fantastic. He can get acclimated without having to be pressured to come in right away. He has a whole week and a half to kind of learn his role and learn the playbook and get deployed. And the NFL, how it works. I mean, these guys can kind of jump in kind of quickly. So I think, it's a good thing for them. And we'll see. Again, we have them coming up on the docket. But I guess we're going to go into the Monday night game, right?
Yeah, we are. The Eagles, man. These motherfuckers, man. They look. It's just like when we go back and we talk about people like they scared to trade. We don't want to trade draft cap. We don't want to do this. We don't do that. Well, the Eagles here lately, obviously, as you know, have been a good football team. They draft late they draft late in rounds. You know what I mean? That's just that's their positioning. And last year in the draft, they were able to get Keon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean from the position in which they drafted at. So it's like, it's not about where you picking at. It's who you pick and knowing the guys to go get, man, no matter where you're drafting at. I mean, that's just what it all comes down to. The Eagles do it excellent, man. I hate giving them props, but it's just the truth, man. Howard Roseman he just does a masterful job, man.
Yes, I've got more. I'll share more of my comments when we get there again. Because we have to we're going to spend a majority of the segment talking about the Eagles and Giants.
What's up, Joe, man? I appreciate you popping in, man.
I think the Giants are cooking with rocks at this point, but again, we'll get to them in a minute. Let's get to this Commander game, and
let's go. Commanders and Chiefs Monday night. This Washington Commander team coming off that great 2024 season, man. They are headed in the complete opposite direction, man, and it's just not looking like it's just not looking very optimistic for them going forward the rest of the way. This team is just. They're not even losing. They're kind of starting to get destroyed week in and week out at this point now. I mean, once again, Monday night, Kansas City Chiefs, who we can all admit are on the upswing now, have gotten their season turned around and are headed back on the upswing as well. Just absolutely destroyed this Washington Commander team Monday night, man. What's your thoughts, Adam?
Well, first off, Joe, thank you for giving me credit. I know a lot of people don't like to give me credit on this show, but I told you guys Chiefs, were able to be. They weren't as bad as they looked. They were just trying to get their footing together. And guess what? They're starting to hit their stride as well, right? Their defense is playing out of their mind, ridiculous. Their quarterback now has weapons galore, from Thornton to Hollywood Brown to now Rashid Rice, Xavier Worthy. Travis Kelce had a big gainer this week. And at first it looked like the Commanders, might be able to hang with them. They're giving the Chiefs were getting a little bit of props. They were getting interceptions and keeping the game really close. But when you don't have JD5 on the field, their offense is a totally different animal. And like you were saying with the Cowboys, the Commanders rely on the same kind of philosophy. If their offense is cooking, they're hard to beat because their defense can do just enough to get you on and off the field, like they did with the turnovers. With Bobby, with some of the interceptions that they had with Mahomes, right, in the first half. However, it only works if your offense can work. And Mariota was getting blown up, couldn't do much, and they just really didn't respect him. And the loss of Brian Robinson, who is on the 49ers, I think, right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Complimenting Christian McCaffrey very well also. There as well.
That may just sway my pick for that game, but I think they're missing him because they have no Austin Eckler. There's this Bill guy. As much as people, hey Ludwig, as much as people love Bill, he's a rookie, 7th round pick for a reason, and they just don't respect him in the run game, right? And I think Brian Robinson trade is really a blemish on Adam Peters' record right now because they really need him right now. Think about that. Think about Mariota having an actual back that can run downhill, pick up the blitz, and kind of understand what's going on. With Brian Robinson, they don't have that. They don't have their pass catcher out of the backfield in Austin Eckler. And Terry McLaurin is, in one day, out one day. He had a fantastic catch with his toe drag swag. I mean, people need to respect his game. But when they get Jaden Daniels back, possibly this week, and they can cook with gas with the team, they're hard to beat. But you're seeing the holes in their game. They don't have the defensive pass rush that they need. They need to invest in that, right? Their defense, while it was simplified and kind of did its own, if they don't have that offense cooking, they can't do anything. Now, we talk about the Jaden Daniels effect. This is what we're talking about. Mariota is competent backup cornerback in this league, but that's what he is for a reason. He's a backup, and he doesn't bring the same juice. And he doesn't bring the same energy and the same, I guess, aura or way of playing. And so it's hard for the Commanders who, when they get into games like this, the dam breaks on them. They bend, but sometimes that bend but don't break. Sometimes the defense breaks because they just don't have the horses to hang. And Mahomes found it, and he was cooking. And you saw how potent that Chiefs team can be.
Absolutely. And I mean, great points once again, following you up, man, just agreeing with everything you just said about this Washington team. Great analogy to the Dallas Cowboys in the sense that the offense ain't cooking. This defense is a flat-out liability, point blank and period. And I'll take the Marcus Mariota point. Like you said, I think part of the reason he is the backup in Washington is because you don't have to necessarily drastically change the offense when he has to come in, you know what I mean? Because him and Jaden Daniels can, athletically can do some similar things.
Right.
But Jaden Daniels is just
exactly
who he. Yeah, JD5 is who he is. Marcus Mariota, like you said, is a backup for a reason. It is what it is. But as far as the running back situation, I got a comparison that it just sticks in my mind where Washington made a mistake with the running back situation with the trade, a premature trading of Brian Robinson Jr. is kicking him in the ass. Now, granted, this young guy, Bill, Ja'Cory Crossing-Merritt, he had a couple of good games to start the season off, a couple of little sparks to look like he was a real steal for a seventh-round guy, and it still might play out that way. I mean, the young man is still a good young talent, not just writing them off. But these last few games or so, it's been really, he's been non-effective and just he's been non-existent completely. And it reminds me a little bit of like the New York Giants a couple of years back. The spring, the summer, they fell in love with. Remember one Mr. Trey Hawkins, the cornerback, came out, got the starting job week one, starting cornerback across opposite of Deontay Banks. Came out with 2 rookie starting cornerbacks that season, and Trey Hawkins proved that he's not that guy. He's just not that dude.
Didn't he get injured this year? I thought he was doing well in the preseason this year and got injured.
He got cut. The Giants released him, didn't they? I thought he was one of the when they did the final cuts. I think he was one of them.
Well, I know he got injured last year. I think he made an interception, got injured. But yeah, that's what it is. You relied on you made a shitty move. I don't know why Brian Robinson Jr. didn't do anything to be traded. I don't necessarily know why you did. The thing is this. You didn't evaluate the situation properly because you couldn't tell me that when you're sitting in that draft room and he comes up, this guy on the 7th round, you're like, you know what? He's better than Brian Robinson. Like, you talk about the run game. I think it's also hurting JD5 not having Brian Robinson Jr. because he was a respected runner in the league. You know what I mean? He was a power back. He had some respect, and that means defense have to account for him when you play him. Defenses don't know anything about Ja'Cory outside that he's a 7th-round pick. He was a 7th-round pick for a reason, and you're seeing why, because he's not as big as Brian Robinson. He's not doing the same things, and the other backs aren't helping as well. See, what JD5 does is a trickle-down effect, right? When you're playing him, you have to defend him. You have to have an 11th guy. But if you have a competent running back, and I always said this about teams, when you have a competent running back and you have a running quarterback, who are you going to stop on these reads? That's why the Eagles are so dynamic, because Jalen Hurts can run. Now, if Jalen Hurts was by himself and didn't have the runners that he did, I mean, Tank Bigsby is a pretty good runner, right? If you don't have the runners that you have, people aren't going to respect you. So what are they going to do? They're going to crowd the line. They're not going to allow you to have the running lanes that you do, and you're not going to be as effective. You have a guy like Brian Robinson. I have to think twice when I'm a linebacker, because that guy has a little juice. That guy's got a little wiggle. He's got a little talent back there that JD5 can give it to. These other three guys they don't have the talent, and they know it, right? That 26, he's a regular downhill runner. He doesn't do much. He's not as good, and you're not. And even though Brian Robinson, if you consider him, let's say a compact runner, right? You consider him, let's say, a complement back. That's fine, but you don't have anybody on there, right? Austin Eckler goes down. You're relying on a rookie who doesn't know all the playbooks, doesn't know all the formation, hasn't seen as much defense as him, and the defenses understand it. I guarantee you their offense would look a lot different with Brian Robinson Jr. right now. People would respect the run a lot more. Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel would have less coverage that they do. They don't respect the run anymore because JD5 isn't as effective with his leg being hurt. And the running backs are not as dynamic as Eckler and Robinson. So that changes your whole offense. And I think that's what you're seeing. And you're going to see the effect of Jaden Daniels. Let's say he is healthy next week or this week, this Sunday. You're going to see the effect of if they can get him on a rhythm. And I think they've also been out of sync. Here's one thing about the Commanders. I will say this. They're a fraudulent team. And here's why they are fraudulent. They're not good enough to be bad in certain areas where they can cover up like they did. Last year, their offense was so dynamic that in every game, no matter what happened, win, lose, or draw, their offense bailed them out of a lot of situations. When their offense can't cook, they don't have anything to hang their hat on. And right now, offensively, the lack of a run game is not helping JD5 and the guys that they need to go downfield, because if you look at Deebo Samuel, look at Terry McLaurin, they're best going deep, but that takes time. And if you don't have the time to do that, you neutralize the effectiveness of those players, right? And then you have to get Deebo on an end around and do all the other dumb creative things that you need to do to get him there. When you have a run game, you can play action, and they don't have a run game. And it's not helping them out because they can't get downfield the same way. They are not seeing the one-on-one coverages the same way. Look at what happened again against the Chargers, the game that they won, right? They won that game because they were able to throw the ball.
Lose you, Adam?
Am I here? I'm still here. Are you frozen? I guess I lost you. You're frozen on my end. Let me Matt, can you hear me now? I can't hear you. Let's see if this is going to bring it back. I got to come back. Come back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know why. That's what happens when you're streaming. I don't even know if you can hear me right now. Okay, great bookends. Thank you for letting me know about that. So anyways, like I was saying, when you have an effective run game, JD5 is more effective, and you get the linebackers to hesitate. When they're not hesitating because they don't believe in your run game, you don't get the lanes on guys like McLaurin and guys that went downfield. I was saying in the Charger game, they were able to throw the ball downfield because their run game was effective. So Mac.
I apologize. I had a little technical thing. I froze up. My computer just went. Did its own. Had a little mind of its own for a second.
And I left thinking that it was things, but yeah. But anyways, the point is that when they don't have a run game, they can't do nothing, and they just have no offense in general. And it was a big it's a big mistake, and we have to just point that out. I mean, and I think it's really hindering what they're doing overall because they don't have enough talent to overcome some of the problems that they're dealing with, and their defense clearly has a talent problem. It really is. I mean, Dan Quinn, you come in and your defense is this bad. Sure, they were effective in the first half, but it obviously you saw without their offense picking up the slack and kind of changing that, it doesn't allow you to do anything. And I think part of that is the run game, and I think feeling the effects of Brian Robinson Jr.
I mean, I agree. Like you said, these guys with the run game thing, it just sticks out to me because Brian Robinson Jr. was that kind of guy. Like they got these same running backs. I mean this guy's name McNichols, Rodriguez. They had those guys before, but they were complements. You know what I mean? And more complimentary, whereas Brian Robinson did the heavy lifting, wore defenses down, and then those guys would come in and they'd be pretty effective.
Right.
They would be pretty effective, you know what I mean? And they would and I think maybe Washington thought they had a little more in those guys, and then when you don't have that kind of guy like a Brian Robinson to do what he was doing, you know what I mean? Now these guys look a lot less effective, and now you're kind of relying on the 7th round draft pick that you felt like made Brian Robinson expendable. I know, granted, they didn't. Obviously, you can't foresee Austin Eckler getting a season-ending injury. You can't see that in the crystal ball. But at the end of the day, you got to protect yourself, and you got to remember what helped get you to the dance last year, what got you to the NFC East, the NFC Championship game a season ago, and a lot of that. Brian Robinson was a big part of that. To me, I just felt like it was a major mistake and a premature trade, and
it's hurt them.
Definitely suffering for it right now.
But why? But why would you do it? It's like if you thought a running back you were going to draft and trade, because we can say here all we want that they didn't know about it. They obviously knew they were going to trade him at some point, right? Why wouldn't you do that in the draft or earlier on in the offseason? You guys basically kept him damn near through camp to trade him at the beginning of the year for a draft pick. Right? Like, because you found this little Jacoby Bill guy, you had no idea what he was going to be in April, and now he's wowing you so much in training camp that you're giving away a guy who you probably would have to pay a decent salary to in Brian Robinson Jr., but that guy was so effective last year. And like you said, he wore down the defense to a point where Eckler was effective, where Nichols was effective, where Rodriguez was effective because they were fresher backs, and this guy could take the punishment. But if it was this, I equate this to how the Giants were defended in the Daniel Jones era. They didn't believe in Daniel Jones. So what would you do? You'd load the box and stop Barkley and try to let the quarterback beat you. Well, they don't believe in the run game. So what they can do is they can say, listen, we can stop you with the 4 guys we got up front, and we'll just commit all this, noise with our back 7 and kind of disrupt your deep playing routes because we don't trust your run game. So now you're getting in these 3rd and longs because they're playing, they can stop your run. It's not as effective. You have a rookie playing. He's not as dynamic as Brian Robinson. And then boom, here you are in 3rd and 8s. And now we have enough guys to spy Jaden Daniels because we know they don't have the running game that they had last year. I don't need to worry about Brian Robinson out of the backfield or Austin Eckler out of the backfield. I can commit a lot more defenders to stopping Jaden Daniels. And until they go out there and bludgeon people with their run game, this is going to be a problem that they're going to have going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think this season it's just going to be a rough season. I feel like for any team not named the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East, it's just going to be a rough season going forward. I feel like the Eagles, as we talked about before we get on, we're about to get to them right next, unless you got some more thoughts on the Washington Commanders. But
no,
yeah, this Eagle team is about to run away with this NFC East division for sure. It just looks like that's just what we're seeing. The writings on the wall now. It looks like.
Well, that's a good segue. I agree with you in that. So good segue into the Eagles. We can talk about them and how they're going to run away with this division.
Yeah, absolutely. Eagles, obviously, we know as Giant fans, we are. Eagles hosting the New York Giants on Sunday, and complete opposite of the Week 5 match or the Week 6 matchup. This time, the Eagles kicked the Giants' teeth in, and never really was a contest. Eagles came out right from the door and blew to just kind of just asserted themselves, and the Giants were not able to ever get back into this one. Truth, were not ever able to truly get back into this one. And a lot of bad things happened in this football game for the New York Giants. We'll talk about all of that. But what's your thoughts on this football game, Adam?
Well, I'm going to need a few minutes here. I know I ranted on your show before. I'm going to try to keep my rant in a controlled manner. But I do get fired up about this game talking about it. Ask AK, he called me, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying, this coach has got to go. This coach has got to go. How do you come out flat in this game? There is a lot riding on this game. I understood. I told you people the loss against Denver was crushing. It was something that we talked about. Mac, you felt for a couple days. I felt for a couple days. We felt this loss. That, to me, in Denver was the season. The way they played, the effort they gave, that was the season. And they knew it let it slip through their hands. And then, of course, you come in this game. And the second play of the game, after a defense was getting bitched about and moaned about all week, second play of the game, we give up a 65-yard touchdown. At that moment, I knew it was over because it started out similar to the last game with a penalty here, not a penalty here. They got the ball at the 35-yard line. I'm like, all right, Newbin knocks down a pass. I'm like, maybe the Giants will be in it. You kind of saw they were flat the whole off. The sideline was kind of golf clapping at Newbin. It didn't just feel like they had an energy. Then next thing you know, Newbin was the culprit of a fucking 65-yard run. Now you go watch the play again. Go watch the play again. Newbin needs to execute better. Okay, that guy has
terrible angles.
A clear line to Saquon Barkley. You could literally drive a truck there. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he got scared, but he literally comes down, reads the play, and you're like, oh, if this safety continues his read, he's going to be able to make the play at the line of scrimmage. Instead, he stands there, and before you know it, what's the old saying? If the player is even, he's leaving. Barkley is even to him, and he's out the gate, and he's touchdown. Okay? Like, I understand. I get it, right? Let's blame the defensive coordinator, but this defense is shitty. It is terrible. It has no heart, no life. You can blame the coach, and I blame him too. But I blame Brian Daboll for all of this. Why? Because the nonsense that goes on week in and week out, you don't have your team ready. They're too busy worried about and fighting with the fucking media right now about stupid shit. Okay, you're sitting here not effective. Your whole team is drained from that loss, and you have a chance to go in there and beat the Philadelphia Eagles' ass. You know what the Philadelphia Eagles were talking about all week? Kicking our ass. That's what they did. All they talked about was, this is a revenge game for us. We need to show up better. We need to do a better job. They had injuries across the board and somehow still dominated us. They had offensive linemen out. Their top receiver was out. We couldn't do a gosh darn thing. Okay? We couldn't do a damn thing. Our game plan was absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. And not to mention, after our running back goes down, right? We couldn't do anything. Fuck Darius Slayton. Okay? Fuck Darius Slayton. Okay? I'm done with that shit. That's it. I'm done with you. All right? Wan'Dale Robinson. None of these guys aren't elevator type players. They can get boxed in and boxed out. They didn't do that much on defense. They didn't really blitz. They just held their lanes, their rush lanes, and were effective and made tackles. We couldn't do shit. And I don't want to hear about the refs. Okay? They were shitty. The refs were shitty the entire game for both teams. Okay, if you don't remember, the Eagles had a penalty, then they didn't have a penalty, and even in that, like, what the hell's going on? They were an atrocious group. I hope they never do a game again. Maybe the FBI will look into collusion. I don't know, but I don't want to hear about that. So, yeah, sure about the fumble, right? Great, but guess what? The Darius Slayton thing, that was a clear push off. He literally pushed the guy's chest and extended his arm, not once but twice. Now, I get it. You want hand fighting. You know what that was? That was a makeup call for the fumble that they should have given them on the Jackson Dart play. That was not a forward hand. The ball came out way behind his helmet, way behind his head, before it even came forward. and they by a centimeter. Even Dean Blandino's like, I don't know what we're doing here, with a centimeter. So whatever we want to write about those parts of the game, the Eagles dominated from start to finish. It never felt like the Giants ever had a chance. They put their foot on our throat from the first moments of the game and never let up. And that's just how I feel. And I just feel like this team, to me, Brian Daboll is not the coach for this team. I don't give a damn what you tell me about Jackson Dart and what he does. I heard on WFAN, they're like, oh, yeah, this is year 1. No, it is year 4. You have a defense that many of you guys told me was going to be a top 10 defense. I was the only guy that was like, you know what? Let's let them play before we anoint them and start giving them nicknames and all this other bullshit, okay? I don't hear about Kayvon Thibodeau. He doesn't do a damn thing. I hear people all day on Spaces, we can't get rid of Thibodeau. He's going to want all this. You know what? Fuck that bullshit, man. That guy has 2.5 sacks. 2.5 sacks. He's in a top 5 pick. That's what you're giving me? 2.5 sacks? You don't give me turnover-worthy plays? Sure, that fumble from the tush push. Guess what? That's them legislating that into the game. It should have been a fumble. It was not a fumble. They stopped the whistle. Whatever the case may be, move on from that. And Brian Daboll, why are you challenging a play when they already told you couldn't challenge the fucking play? They told you couldn't challenge this unchallengeable play, and you still somehow challenge the fucking play. Like, who do you have up there?
I'm sorry. Let me pause you for 1 second right there, because that play that was terrible for Brian Daboll to challenge a play that he knew he wasn't going to be able to win because they told you, like you said, told you couldn't challenge it. But that play, he shouldn't have had to challenge it, because once again, when we talk about the bad officiating in this game, that was a play that the referees also got insanely wrong. That was absolutely a fumble. Kayvon Thibodeau took that ball away from Jalen Hurts on that play. That push. Don't hear that his momentum was stopped. Bullshit. No. He was pushing the ball forward still. He reached the ball out for a reason, because he didn't even think he had the first down while he's reaching the ball out in the first place. And it just, like you said, the game ain't on the referees. It was bad officiating. There's bad calls both ways. Right. It was a poorly officiated football game, period, point blank and period. In totality, not just bad calls against the Giants, but it was just that those. It just got to clean it up. It's the fact that did lead to another coaching blunder by Brian Daboll, but that started from a bad call by the referees in the first place.
But the coaching blunder is one of many just stupid things that this guy gets away with because Jackson Dart is playing so well. And this is my problem. I don't care what Jackson Dart does. I hope he has a good, solid game. His performance should not dictate whether or not we keep Brian Daboll at the end of this year. This team, I've seen too many games where they've gotten blown out, they get dog walked, and they basically give up. How do you give up 200-yard rushes in the same fucking game? In the same game, 2nd and 31, and you give up a 32.
Second and 31, bro. 2nd and 31, bro.
2nd and 31.
That only happens to the New York Giants.
32 yards. 32. They were giving up on the play. And somehow they get 32 fucking yards. What is that? Like, why are you not firing your defensive coordinator after that? That to me is a fireable offense.
Brian Burns sacks their quarterback for a 20-yard loss. And on the very next play, you give up a 32-yard run on 2nd and 31 to their backup running back. Not Saquon Barkley even. Not even Jalen Hurts, their very talented running quarterback. Their backup running back that half the people probably didn't even know who the hell he was prior to this season, playing with the Eagles or whatever. It's just, come on, man. What are we doing? This is my problem with Brian Daboll. This is my problem with Brian Daboll as a head coach. This is why I feel like he needs to get. Because you're allowing Shane Bowen to continuously every week come out here with these horrible defensive game plans that ain't stopping nothing anybody's doing, and we just keep rolling that shit out there as if there's nothing you can do. You don't manage the situation in any way. You just sit there and watch it happen, and just watch it happen week in and week out. And it's probably the same thing's going to end up happening this week, probably, because you just can't help yourself. You seem like you just can't. You just can't help being an idiot. Like, I'm sorry, I'm the head coach. I'm taking over. Remember the Titans, Denzel Washington? All it took was a couple of nice plays, and he said to the defensive coordinator, they get another first down. They get another first down. I'm taking over. Like, bro, that's what a head coach does, man. That's what a head coach is supposed to be. You sit there and let this guy Shane Bowen come out there, and it's a horrible game plan every week. But yet, we'll just keep doing it. Go ahead, Shane. Keep calling your defense, even though we ain't stopping nobody. Go ahead.
Here's my problem with this fucking loser, okay? You're right. He doesn't take over. But the thing is, the whole team is undisciplined. I understand maybe giving it up by a pass or something like that. They knew they were going to punt. They were like, all right, 2nd and 31, let's give. And they were giving you you didn't have anybody stop them. Nobody. At that point, I would have fired that guy on the fucking in the locker room in front of everybody. You're fucking fired. Andre Carter, Andre Patterson, whoever the fuck guy is, you're my new defensive coordinator. See you motherfuckers on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because obviously what we ain't doing is not right. But no, we don't have that gusto. You see him on the podium right now, he looks like a jolly old happy man. Like, there's no anger, there's no like gusto, there's no like we're gonna hellfire and brimstone on the fucking 49ers. And oh, by the way, there's a blueprint now on how to beat the Giants. They even said it. Attack the edges. Attack the fucking edges of the line, and that's all you've got to do. You have a solid running game. You attack the edges of the line, you're going to beat the Giants. Well, guess what? That's true to form. That's all the Eagles did. They just ran one side to the right, one side to the left, one side to the right, one side to the left, and they don't even have the horses to do it, right? You had a chance to get a cornerback, a solid one. What do? You bring back Corey Black, who gets mossed by a guy who is smaller than. Are you kidding me? They're throwing up plays at the end of the game as a gimme play. Like, oh, well, it's a 50-50 ball. I don't really care what happens. We're going to see what happens. And he outmanned you, outjumped you. And to me, this team is fucking cooked. Okay? They're cooked. Jackson Dart is going to do his best to salvage whatever games he can. And Lord have mercy, I'm going to watch him and root for this kid going forward. But he's got nothing to work with. There's no heart on this team. All I hear is Brian Burns talking, hey, buddy, you're playing great, but you're a captain. Figure out how to get into these guys' heads, because we already knew that how could you bring Shane Bowen back after that meltdown? Well, this is what the result is. And until you fire him, this is what the result's going to be. We're 8 weeks in. It's crazy to think. We're 8 weeks into the NFL season. Nothing is changing. There's nothing going to happen. Doesn't matter who you bring in now, who you fire. These are the guys you have on the field. Okay? And if they can't make plays and you can't put them in the right position and you don't even know how to call your fucking game plan, okay, you can't stop anybody. They had, like, we talk about this. They gave up 4 touchdown passes. 4 fucking touchdown passes. Like, yeah, Jalen Hurts didn't throw for 300 yards like he did the last 2 games, but he was effective enough.
He didn't even throw for 200 yards. He didn't even throw for 200 yards. And he threw 4 touchdown passes.
Right, 4 touchdown passes and a mollywop of the Giants, right? Like, they scored 5 touchdowns. That's right. Like that is just insane to think about. And I don't believe it was close. And this is the type of shit that gets on my nerves. And I don't want to, like, if Jackson Dart comes out and is balling the entire year, right? For whatever reason,
he will be. He will be. That's what he does.
Yes, and he's a gamer. I love the kid. He's got some things to clean up. Obviously, he's a rookie, but he's a gamer, and I'm going to root for him. I don't want Brian Dable here anymore. I need a guy to come in here to not only continue Dart's trajectory up, but to also build the fucking football team the right fucking way. Okay? Build an identity. Get receivers that fucking work. Have an offensive game plan. We brought back the same offense last year and with only one change in the one room in the quarterback room and expected that to be different. You lost Cam Scatteroo, who was also your money maker and your energy guy, and you could see how deflated the team was. Tracy and Devin Singletary aren't the back that Scatteroo is. I don't want to hear that, because if he was, they would have had better production, and they did not. Okay, they are complimentary running backs at best. And again, what does Joe Shane do this week? We get another cornerback. What does that mean? Paulson Adebo, who didn't practice today, he's out. Great. We got to bring in more cornerback help when we need fucking running back help, which means we're probably going to elevate Turbo Miller, which we probably should be doing already, because that's what we do. We don't shop where we need the actual shopping. We lose a receiver, we sign a fucking linebacker. We lose a linebacker, we sign a fucking defensive tackle. Like, what the fuck do we do? Do we actually go and fix the problem and get guys that might actually help the team? No, we go get fucking other bums to fill holes that we don't need. And I'm just sick and tired of him not having any fire at the end of the game. Well, you know what? Fucking fire somebody. Get pissed off. Don't be throwing your helmet on the sideline and pretending like you're a coach. Like, a coach matters. He makes adjustments. He pulls guys on and off field. I heard some shit right now that tells me I definitely don't want him to be this guy. Malik Neighbors dancing around, doing whatever the fuck he wants to do at a party. And apparently there are special rules for Neighbors that nobody else gets. You can't run a football team like that. You can't have the superstars running amok all over the place and then discipline everybody else. This is a fracture. More and more is going to come out as they lose football games. This guy is rotten to the core. We don't need him around our football, especially our quarterback. That is great.
It's crazy to me about this Neighbors thing. This Neighbors thing with the dancing thing, because he just got surgery, I believe, yesterday. Either Monday or yesterday. He just finally got the surgery done on his knee, finally. And be out dancing around. I mean, I get that it doesn't make you completely immobile from like walking around and stuff, but you shouldn't. Come on, it's not a good look to be out dancing around, partying when you can't, when you can't even come contribute to your damn team right now. On the field where you truly needed, where you would truly be needed. But at the same time, he's a young kid. Somebody's got to talk to him and let him and try to get him to understand. He is a young, very talented young man. Hopefully, somebody can get into his head a little bit and get him to understand that, some things you just don't do. You know what I mean? As far as the Cam Scatterbull injury, go ahead.
Well, let me just close the neighbors thing and get into Scatterbull. The Neighbors thing, I'm not really worried about the dancing. I'm worried about the rules that I heard that he has or doesn't have, and the rules that everybody else. That reeks of McAdoo and what he did with Odell, and certain players got privileges and other guys didn't like that. It fractured a locker room. And now you're starting to see it right now with Dexter Lawrence talking to the media, everyone talking to the media, everyone's now pointing fingers, and Carl Banks is calling people out. Like, this is a fucking mess, okay? And I just wanted to just call that out, that if you're having those different rules for players, it means you're losing your locker room, because you can't govern like that. You really can't. Go ahead about Scatterbull.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah, the Scatterbull injury is devastating to this team. Like you said, he brought an energy to this offense that like you saw it even in the results in that game. Now, even if he hadn't got hurt, the way that game played out probably wouldn't have been much different of a result as far as the win-loss. Probably would have been a different type of game still, though. Scatterbull was that guy, man. He's just going to keep pounding and pounding and pounding. And look, he already did. As a matter of fact, he did score a touchdown on the day before he got injured. Who knows if he would have put another one in the end zone or something, just made some more plays that mattered, that would have had some kind of an effect on this football game. And like I said, the energy got sucked out of that building when Scatterbull went down, man. He took it like, as good as anybody could. He, got the thumbs up while he was getting carted out. He got the surgery Sunday night. Surgery was a success. He's on the road to recovery. But then you get this news about the news that came out today about the injury being even more serious than originally diagnosed. You know what I mean? Like the ankle dislocation, said an open tibia fracture, ruptured deltoid ligament. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it just sounds like that's a lot of recovery for Scatterbull, man. All we can do is hope and pray that this young man can get back to full strength. Oh, that shit saw it. It looked terrible. You saw the immediate reaction of the players on the field as soon as it happened. The players on the field on both teams, the Eagles and the Giants, both were just like it had an effect on them. Absolutely, it was one of those kind of injuries. The replay was it what?
Was it a hip drop tackle to you? The hip drop tackle. You know that? Do you think it was?
You know what it is. I don't know. I want to look at it a little closer. I wouldn't necessarily think so, man. I don't necessarily think it was. I just think it just kind of this football, man. Shit happens, man. I remember even back in my playing days, man, it was a guy, my boy right next to me. He was my right guard, man. My left guard right next to me. I was playing left tackle. He was left guard, and somebody fell on his leg, and his leg broke, similar to what you saw from Scatterbull. It was devastating right next to me. And I mean, it's tough, man. It's a tough look, man. But like I said, we just hope Scatterbull can can recover. I haven't heard anything about this being some kind of career-ending type of injury yet. So
He's
hopefully he can
already in the
recover
building wheeling himself
and he can be
around.
ready to go next next season, man. I mean, but it's tough. It's tough because that it did. It just had an effect. It just Scatterboo. Just it's something about. I mean, for the rookies to have the effect on this football team that they do with Jackson Dart and Scatterboo, that was what people look forward to coming. What people that's what people were going to continue to buy tickets for this season, man. And they'll still continue to buy tickets just to see Jackson Dart for what it's worth. You know what I mean? They're going to still be filling the stadium up. He's going to still be a draw, but it's kind of tough because it's not going to be the same. And you're right. Tyrone Tracy, I like Tyrone Tracy a lot, but I think it is proven that he's a much better complement to what Scatterboo was doing as opposed to now he's going to go back to being RB1, which obviously he had success at that last season, a season ago. I feel like he's still capable of doing things and being effective. It's not going to be quite the same though. You know, it just I don't know, can't really put it completely into words. And as far as all the internal shit, how it's cracking and falling apart. Yeah, I mean, this back and forth for Dexter Lawrence and Carl Banks is crazy to me. I mean, the fact that Carl Banks would even look, I can admit that I don't feel like Dexter Lawrence has had the impact this season that he's had in the past couple of seasons or so. But at the end of the day, he's got the highest double team rate in the league on pass rush downs at like 70-something%. So he's out there. I mean, they're still throwing everything at Dex. That means the league still thinks highly of him as a player, obviously, as teams are still putting it on. It's not like he's out there battling, and I think he's still dealing with the injury a little bit, whether the New York Giants will ever admit that or not. I think he never really fully recovered from that yet, and it's still just affecting his play on the field a little bit. But Carl Banks sometimes can get a little overzealous with his comments, a little bit, but Dexter clapped right back at him, and maybe we'll see if that can light a fire under this team. Anything, I don't know. It seems like things you would think could light a fire under this team's ass, it just still doesn't. Yeah, it's just weird. They seem like they just still don't. It's just I don't understand. But it's
a light of fire under your ass. It really pisses me. It really is what is needed. What is pissing me off about it is I agree with you with Dexter Lawrence. I don't think he's playing that great. Maybe it's the injury, maybe it's not. I look at things like I don't care about pass rush and being the leading pass rusher or disruptor in the game. Because while those analytics are good, that's an empty stat. Like I don't keep that stat. That's something that somebody records on PFF or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, what is recorded is sacks, tackles for losses, plays of that nature that we can see with our eyes, right? It's the same thing with Kayvon Thibodeau. I was like, oh yeah, he's a great pass rusher. Yeah, but you ain't getting paid to just make pressures. You're getting paid to get sacks and make turnover-worthy plays. Now, for Carl Banks to call him out like that, I thought was stupid, and I don't think it's going to motivate Dexter Lawrence because he's not going to say fuck you because he knows everyone respects him. He even said it, I get triple teamed every game, but that's okay. What it shows me though is that everybody is fighting. Everybody is trying to figure it out. The fact that we're listening to the media. I mean, even Kayvon Thibodeau was talking about the refs last week. There's a lot of things that aren't football related that we're talking about. And that type of distraction in the media is telling me that this team is starting to fall apart in terms of they just can't keep it together anymore with this coach. You can't defensively, they know their coach. They don't believe in their coach. They probably don't believe in the head coach, to be honest with you. Jackson Dart is the only thing that's keeping this thing afloat, and he can only do so much with the limited amount of talent he has on that roster. And now at 2-6, I don't need you, Joe Shane, which you suck at your job anyways, to go out there and mortgage the farm to try to save your job, right? And that's why I keep saying that Jackson Dart's performance should not dictate whether or not we keep these guys going forward. Because I've seen 4 years of this. I've seen this team regress. I've seen them the infighting, the fact that you can't stand on 10. How do you think a player feels about Brian Dable when you can't even fire a guy who's fucking up? You were easy to sit down Daniel Jones last year when he was fucking sucking. Easily bench his ass real quick. You're easily throwing Tay Banks under the bus all the time. But when your guy is the guy, you don't have the accountability to fire him because you don't want to look like an idiot for the second time in a row with firing a defensive coordinator. Like how Mac, if this is your boss and your direct supervisor is fucking up and his boss is not doing anything, how are you going to take your boss every day?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy, crazy work. But I wanted to counter one point you said earlier about something you said. Just a little, I gave a little pushback on something. Just
Okay.
when you were talking
Push
about
back.
like Kayvon and things that don't show up, like things things that don't show up on the stat sheet. You know what I mean? My only pushback on that is just like I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't rule out like to me Kayvon Thibodeau is it might not be great. The sack numbers aren't necessarily there, but I think he's still been doing some productive things. I think out on the edge, where like you said, we do get attacked in the run game a lot. He has been our better guy, the best one out there as far as with the run stopping, as far as out there setting the edge. As far as like even with Abdul Carter, his sack numbers also he has a half sack on the season, but yet he leads the league and quarterback pressures. And honestly, with Brian Burns with his 11 sacks, we talked about this before the season started, where like somebody like Abdul Carter had the effect he can have because Brian a lot of those sacks that Brian Burns has recorded, Abdul Carter is kind of the cause of him getting those Brian Burns being able to get those sacks. I mean, so if it wasn't for the disruption. So it's like things like that. They might not show up on the stat sheet, so to say, like you just said, but it's like an offensive lineman. Pretty much nothing they do shows up on the stat sheet, but they can have things they do can have an effect on, can have major effects on the football game.
I'm looking at that.
That's all I'm getting. That's all. It's just nothing
Here's my pushback to that because I thought about this a lot. Leonard Williams had the same problem. Okay, he had that half a sack, but look at him. He had a fucking 100 pressures during the season. Great. What do they pay you on? They don't pay you on 100 pressures. They pay you on sacks. Look at everybody that's getting paid. Aiden Hutchinson just got paid. What does that guy do? He gets sacks. Brian Burns, $150 million. He's getting the sacks that he needs. I understand what disruption does. It's almost like an assist in basketball. You may not see the assist or the pick that happens for the layup or whatever the case may be. That they might not count that, but yeah, sure, it's effective. Right? But at the end of the day, people are going to pay you on your stats. And if you think that I'm going to pay Kayvon Thibodeau his 2.5 sacks with Brian Burns, with Abdul Carter, with Dexter Lawrence out there, and you're not creating more tackles for losses, more disruptive plays. Sure, the pressure is there, but you're as a defensive end, you're there. Look what the Eagles did. They had a backup guy come in and have a sack fumble on him. He did do that against Hurts. He did have that one play where he hit Hurts' hand, but I need to see more out of a guy that was a fifth overall pick. That's all. I want more. If he was Azeez Ojulari, I'm not as upset about it because he's a second round pick and I'm not investing and making him a cornerstone of my defense. But he's a guy that I picked high in the round. He needs to be a cornerstone. He needs to be a guy that I'm putting in the Ring of Honor when it's all said and done. In there, right? A Barkley type, a guy that every week I can rely on. I'm going to get the 11 sacks a year. Now, there are still a lot of games left to be played, but I'm just saying this is a guy that I believe people are overrating a little bit. And I understand the pressures and how that works. But when people were talking about Leonard Williams and we're talking about his half a sack that he had, they're like, oh, great, under pressure, where are the sacks? And guess what? Once the sacks started coming, he got paid, and look what he's doing. Now he's fighting for Defensive Player of the Year because he's getting sacks, disruptions, forced fumbles. His impact is being felt everywhere. I don't feel that impact from a guy that's supposed to be a 5th overall pick and I'm supposed to build my defense around. You know what I mean? Again, if he was a second or third round pick, an Ojulari type, I'm like, all right, I can take the 2.5 sacks or whatever that he's doing. But he's not. And that's where that.
I feel you. I mean, look, I feel you. I just think that. I feel like he is doing a lot of more under the radar things, and I think it's kind of getting a little gloss. Though that's all. That's just my opinion.
How much money are you willing to pay?
I said, I think he's played. I mean, well, yeah, I'm not breaking the back. He's definitely not getting Brian Burns money or nothing like that because he hasn't played up to that kind of production. He hasn't given us that kind of production.
So, but he's gonna ask for that.
Well, then he's gonna be in for a rude awakening because I don't think anybody would give him that, and not just the Giants. I'm talking about anybody. So he'll be in for a rude awakening if he asks for that. Based off of his film right now, up to right now, he'd be in for a rude awakening if he tried to ask for like Brian Burns type money. I think that'll be a humbling experience for him if he goes through that once he gets to that stage and goes through that process. But
I think somebody mentioned T.J. Watt got like 30,000. Micah's got 40 million a year. You know, the guy Aiden Hutchinson gets 40-something million a year, right? We're talking about the top defensive ends in the game.
He knows. I think. Yeah, but he's not that, and I think he needs to if he thinks he's one of the top defensive ends in the game, then that's a whole different problem. And then we have a whole different, because I think he's a good player. I don't think he's one of those top echelon guys, but he's a good player. You know what I mean? I don't. So I think it's going to be. We'll see what happens when it gets to that point. Honestly, none of us really know. But until he gets to that point, man, and until he gets to that point after the season's over and it gets to that negotiation stage. We'll see, man. But as of right now, yeah, I think he's only going to get paid like in just a normal good player. You know what I mean? He's not going to get paid. He's not even in the conversation for those upper echelon contracts, if you ask me. But
and we'll end it. I'll kind of end it on this. If he doesn't get into the double-digit sack range by the end of the year, and he's hovering around 4 or 5 sacks, and you expect me to turn around and give you defensive All-Pro money, or whatever, the guy's never been to a Pro Bowl. All I'm saying is you can want to keep him, but the production that I'm getting out of him, Aiden Hutchinson's giving me second overall value on the field, because when he's off the field, the defense of the Lions is affected. When Kayvon Thibodeaux's off the field, nobody notices. Okay, it's not like, oh, Kayvon's off the field, we should have got. Nobody notices. That's what I'm saying, is like he's not at that top 5 pick level of money, but he's going to try to command that. And if you know that's the money that he wants and he has value now, and a team like the 49ers or a team like that's in need of a pass rusher calls you up and says, hey, you know what, we'll give you money because he's already on the books for next year, and you don't think he's going to be a future and you're not going to pay him, we might not pay him either, but at least we're going to the Super Bowl or whatever, we need a pass rusher, you consider that call. Because if this guy is already giving you demands of $30 million a year, I want to be the highest paid guy, there's no use in arguing with him. You just go get rid of him and say, listen, go get your money elsewhere. We're not going to be able to pay you. We have Abdul Carter here, who we believe is going to be better than you already and is in the defensive rookie of the year conversation, even though he's not done that much besides the pressures, right? So why would I? The leverage is all for the Giants. So all I'm saying is they need to get ahead of this thing and see if how he's going to respond and what the end all be all is going to be at the end of this year. Because again, I'm not paying him $30 million a year, which he's going to want to command.
No, there's no way he could seriously think he's worth that. To me, that's a whole different conversation. If he thinks he's worth that, then that's a whole different issue. I don't believe he's worth that. I just believe he's a good, solid player, and I wouldn't be mad at him, us the Giants retaining him, but it had to be for the absolute right price. $30 million is not the right price. He's not worth that. He hasn't given the Giants that kind of production, so that'll be a different conversation when we get down that road. But I don't know if you had any thoughts on the Eagles. We really kind of made this almost all about the Giants in this game. I mean, talking about this game, we kind of. I don't know if they're really good. Yeah, that's about all I got to. They're really good, and they're going to run away with the NFC East, looks like, and they're going to be the first back-to-back NFC East division champs in a very long time since the last time they did it. So I mean, that's what it's going to be.
If you mention the Eagles, I'm impressed. I believe they're going to make adjustments. I think they're going to be better than what we saw. They weren't even playing their best football. They end up winning their 6-2 record, right? You got to think the next 9 games, they're at worst they're 6-3, so that puts them at 12-5 at the worst. So that's where I think they land, and that could put them in the top echelon. They're definitely going to win the division, but at worst they're going 6-3 down the stretch, which will still put them at 12-5. They'll still be able to defend their title. I think they're only going to get better from here. I think they figured out a lot of things against the Giants, and they're only going to get healthier and stronger. So good teams are good. Not much to say there. Bad teams are bad.
Right now, no Mets, I would say no to that number 2, based off of what I've seen, everything I've seen. But he could play up to that number, in my opinion. He could that's a number he could probably at least play up to, depending on how the rest of this season goes. But like I said, we'll have to cross that road when we get there. What was I getting ready to say? I lost my train of thought. Let's I guess if we're done with this, we can talk about some of these games this week coming up. Eagles on a bye week, so they get the week off to rest in their
Yeah,
laurels. They will still be leading the NFC East no matter what happens. No matter what happens this Sunday, the Eagles will still be leading the NFC East come week 10.
well, three
So
games. It's pretty insane.
let's talk about it.
4 games against.
So let's talk about it, man. Who the Cowboys playing this week? The Cowboys got the
Cardinals on Monday night.
Cowboys on Monday night against Arizona Cardinals. How do you feel about the Cowboys against the Cardinals Monday night, Adam?
I think this is a game that favors the Cowboys and what they do well. I think their offense is going to bounce back. This defense is not as stifling as Denver, and I think they'll have some success. And I think the Cardinals are falling apart. It's unfortunate because they had so much promise, but I think they're going to be able to score points. But I just don't believe they have the track meet that they're going to encounter with the Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys are home, so I think it's going to favor the Cowboys this week. So I'm going to lean this week. I picked the Cowboys to lose to Denver last week. I do believe. I could be wrong, but I feel they're going to. This is a team at 2-6 where they match up with well, and I think they can win on a late field goal, something like that. They got that. No matter where they play, whether it's in Arizona or Dallas, I just think they're not going to have 2 back-to-back stinkers like they did offensively, and they don't face a defense that they saw like the Denver. So.
Yeah, I'm going agreeing with you fully. Cowboys here. I think what we're going to see down the games in Dallas, they're hosting the Cardinals, and I think what we're going to see is the Cowboys offense come back to life after a terrible week last week. Dak Prescott coming off the worst game of the season so far. I think he rebounds in an impressive way, gets back to that MVP form, which he's had put on display all so far throughout this first half of the season. And I think the Cowboys win this, and not only win, I think they win it big. I think they blow the doors off the Arizona Cardinals. I think Arizona they get a few scores here and there because the Cowboys defense is absolutely terrible, but I think overall the Cowboys will blow it's going to end ultimately just overtake them, man. Just blow the doors off them. I think I can see a big offensive performance coming the Cowboys' way. CeeDee Lamb having a big game, and I can see Javonte Williams just running downhill on this Arizona Cardinals defense and having a huge game as well. So I'm just going to go with the Cowboys. You got Sunday night football. NFC East in prime time this weekend, huh? See, Washington Commanders hosting the Seattle Seahawks, man. Ooh. How you looking at this one, Adam?
Belt to ass. Seattle's going to beat the hell out of that team. Stranger things have happened. It is football. It is any given Sunday. Bobby Wagner, Dan Quinn's old team. Whatever drama you want to kind of stir up. I just don't think they have the horses for a team that's offensively playing phenomenal right now. And Sam Darnold led Seahawks. And he's a guy that we probably aren't talking about with MVP. If you're going to put Daniel Jones in that same conversation, I think you need to put Sam Darnold in that conversation as well, because I just think he's handling his business pretty well there. And I think that they're going to be too much for the Commanders, who don't have a great defense, who don't have a great pass rush, and aren't going to be able to keep up with them defensively. Offensively, if Jaden Daniels comes and he's effective, they'll have a chance to at least score some points. But being that he's been in a lineup and he doesn't look like he has great chemistry with his receivers right now, I think it's going to be another embarrassing loss for the Commanders.
I feel a lot better about the Commanders if I knew for sure whether Jaden Daniels was going to play. I mean, with him getting out there, having Terry McLaurin back, that definitely had an impact on the game. They had a special connection, especially last year. They haven't really had a chance to get that connection going this year, obviously. But just the unknown and what we've seen, this Commanders defense in particular, even though they're at home, Seattle having to make that long trip all the way across the country, I still think Seattle's playing really good football. JSN is just, he's if you don't know, guys, he has ascended to top tier status in the receiving category in the NFL. Man, that guy is definitely up there amongst all of the league's best now officially. And Now we see why they had really not much problem trading off DK Metcalf to the Steelers, as we see with the things that Jack Smith and Jigma is doing out there. So I just think it's going to be too much what Seattle's doing right now, man. And I think the Seahawks are going to win this one as well, man. But one more to talk about here. We got the Giants hosting the San Francisco 49ers, Adam. You tell me what you got, man.
I don't have much faith in the Giants. I really don't. It's tough to root for this team. I'm going to root for Jackson Dart. I do believe they will have a chance in this game. The 49ers are banged up, but the 49ers are also a 5-3 team. They beat teams like the Rams. They've beaten some, the Atlanta Falcons. They've beaten some solid teams, and people don't realize how good that Texans defense was last week. They were number one in the league in a lot of categories. They overwhelmed that team, but it's not like they can't come in here and do stuff. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have those boys ready. I do believe that CMC and Brian Robinson are going to have a field day. And I think they're going to keep the game very simple, play effective defense. I don't know if they're going to have to – I think Robert Saleh is going to have a solid game plan, even with the injuries. I still believe this team is going to come out fighting because they know that they probably – should have given a better showing against the Texans, who, again, were playing for their season. You don't know what that does to people sometimes. D'Amico Ryans also, it's old stomping ground, so he has a little bit of familiarity with what Kyle Shanahan does, so that did help them last week. And I just think this team doesn't match up well with the Giants and what they do defensively. The Giants' defense doesn't stop the run. This team's a strong running team, even with the injuries, and that's what scares me. And Mac Jones and Brock Purdy are both effective quarterbacks. They don't need, and in this game, against the Giants, probably not going to have Paulson to be Debo, probably not going to have Javon Holland, going to have probably some miscommunication back there with all the new guys that you're trying to get in. And while the Giants may put up a fighting spirit, I just think it's going to be too much CMC and too much Brian Robinson Jr. for the Giants to hold up.
Well, I'm going to disagree here because I think this is where we're going to see what Jackson Dart brings to the table, man, and what he's brought to the table, especially at home thus far this season, has been nothing short of spectacular. And I think we're going to get another one of those performances, man. I just think Jackson Dart's going to come out and it's going to be explosive. He's going to make a lot of plays. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be effective against his banged-up 49er defense. I think you're going to get even maybe a couple of surprising performances out of some of these very subpar receivers that the Giants have. And I think Jackson Dart's going to be a big reason to that. I think the New York Giants do. I think the 49ers have done some good things, and they're kind of playing above the numbers as far as, they're playing a little better than you would expect, especially some of the things they're dealing with. But I just think this is one of those games where, I think they're not really truthfully that much more superior to the New York Giants, honestly. I don't believe so anyway. I just think they've gotten some breaks that have gone their way this season, and hats off to them for that. Because part of that is taking advantage of the opportunities you get. This team does that, but I think Jackson Dart has played phenomenally at home. He has yet to lose a home game, and I think he's not only that, he's played absolutely great at home in front of the home fans at MetLife Stadium. And I think he's going to continue to do that this week against the 49ers as well. And I think they get an upset victory here against the 49ers. I think he gets it done. I just really believe in what I see in Jackson Dart. And I think they're going to win this one for Cam Scatterboo, man. That's their guy, man. And I think they're going to go out there and do it for him. I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff works in the movies, I guess, but we'll see. Because they could have done that for him that game. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think Dart's going to play bad just because I don't think the Giants are going to. I think it's their defense that's going to let them down. I don't think their offense is going to let them down. I just think their defense is, with this running game coming in, Kyle Shanahan's not going to be stupid. He's going to be like, well, they got Barkley. Barkley had 100 yards. I can throw screen passes and really feature the running backs. And we have terrible linebackers and things like that. So if they don't figure it out, and I just don't trust the coaching staff. I'm excited for Dart. I think he will play well. I think he will move the football against this banged up team. I just don't trust our coaches to put us in a position against a team that needs this game more than we do. The Giants season is all but over to me. They're playing, if they win any games, it's house money, but it's all but over to me. And I'm not saying they have to lie down for anybody. I don't believe they will. But I just believe that Kyle Shanahan Mac Jones will keep you in the game, right? He's going to throw a pick here, pick there, but their defense is feisty, and they have been. And, all I'm saying is until that defense, which gave up 71 points in the last 5 quarters, can ratchet it up, it's good. It might be a tough day at the office. And I don't doubt that Dart's going to be good, but he's working with a deck that's not stacked, and I hope it works out for him.
I get it, but it's the same deck he's been. It's the same deck he's been working with. Honestly, for the most part now, minus Scatterboo now. But other than that, it's the same deck he's been working with. And at home, you've gotten even good performances out of Wan'Dale Robinson, and now So I just feel like it's something. I don't know. Maybe it's something about the energy at home. It's just been something different. This team has been a different team at home since Jackson Dart's taken over. He only missed the one home game this season, the one against Kansas City, but still, it's been a different team. They've been a different team at home under with him at quarterback. So I just think that energy is going to still come. Is going to continue to come, and I think they're going to go out there and play there. I think they're going to go out there and put a good game down against the 49ers. So I think, I'm not going to say they're a bad team because their record doesn't indicate that, but they're. I don't know. They're not to me, they're not a championship team to me. I'm not putting them honestly in a serious Super Bowl conversation. I'm just not. I'm not doing it. They're not that to me. They're not that level to me. They're decent. They're good. They're getting by right now, but I'm not putting them amongst the Eagles or the Chiefs or the Colts or the Broncos even or teams like that. I'm not putting them amongst teams like that right now. I just think they kind of been getting by and they've been capitalizing on whatever, but I think they're more of what we saw last week and what they've shown pretty much throughout this season. I think they're a lot more of that kind of a team, honestly. And not to say that the Giants are obviously we know Giants, we're not good, but I just think Jackson Dart and things he's especially, like I said, been able to do at home is just I think it's gonna make this one interesting. I think they're gonna get the job done. But I wanted to touch on this comment again real quick from Joe, man, that he put up because I saw it earlier, and I know we were kind of just talking about the recaps of the game, the previews of the game. But yeah, I agree with this. I remember when people were complaining and Brian, he only had double-digit sacks one time in his career, and this crazy shit. But he's proven right now, like you said, you got to imagine if he had this season first that he's having right now, and then you had to pay him after that. Put that into perspective with these guys, the kind of money these guys are making right now. Brian Burns now sitting there 8 games into the season with 11 sacks already. It's he's on pace to have over 20 sacks, even possibly being in the mix for breaking the damn single season record at the pace he's going right now. So yeah, and shouldn't nobody be complaining about that money right now. That's for damn sure. Good comment, Joe. I appreciate that. Do you have any final comments before we get up out of here, Adam?
I just want to, say, well, I love the optimism, and I'm not trying to. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the 49ers. I'm just looking at big picture and what we've done, and we've been outcoached by teams like this. And yeah, sure, LA. We said the same thing about the Chargers. We said the same thing about the other 2 games that he's won at home against the Eagles. But now it's a little different. And I just think the 49ers, while we may not believe in them, you are what your record says you are, and they've had some big wins on their schedule. And I think they're looking at the Giants as a serious opponent, and they're not going to take them lightly. But at the end of the day, I just think a lot will be over. Dart can't be. You can't put all this on his shoulders. And if he does that, I don't want him to play hero ball and make a mistake because he's trying to force it because he's trying to win one for Scatterboo. let's hope that they can figure out a game plan and don't get out coached. And you're right that we're having a W, and next week you're laughing at me saying, "See, look at you dumbass. You don't believe in the team." But teams with strong run games, they scare me. We play a lot of teams with strong run games. Our run defense is horrible. That's the way I think the 49ers' way to victory is. And we'll go from there.
Only 2 wins were against teams with strong run games. Only 2 victories were against teams with strong run games. Remember that at home against teams with strong run games. Saquon Barkley and the Eagles, the Chargers and their running back situation. I mean, they had a Marion Hampton in that game when we played them. He had that big touchdown run against us. So yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I get what you're saying. Trust me, I understand what you're saying because that's definitely 49ers. One thing they do well is run the football.
Coaching staff, that's fine. I mean, I don't, and that's my reasoning for mostly why I don't.
I mean, I don't. I absolutely don't. I trust our young rookie quarterback, and I just trust my eyes of what they've been seeing him and how he's performed at home and how different it is from home and to the road. It's been a difference. I mean, he's been good on the road too, but it's been a different level at home. Is what I'm saying. He's played at a different level in the home games, so. It's just that's all. I'm picking the Giants because of Jackson Dart, because of what I've seen from him thus far this season. I mean, it's not because of Brian Dable or our coach by no means. It's not that. That's definitely nothing. I'm gonna ever I would never. I'm not. No way. I don't have any faith in those guys. I just have faith in what the kid's been able to accomplish and what he's been able to do. And I know the thing about winning for Scatterboo, that sounded hokey. I get it. I mean, it's like you said, it's not a movie, but it's just.
I don't mean to be.
I mean, a guy like him with the impact he's had. No, I get it because it did sound kind of hokey. Even when I said it to myself, like, yes, that was kind of corny. But it was just when I say that, it's just because when a guy like him, a young guy, had that impact that he's had this early in his Giant career. And to go down with the devastating injury he went down with. Like, I remember what I told you about when we got our guy, my homie got his leg broke. We did go on to lose that game that night. But the very next week, we went out there and after we knew our guy, our boy was in the clear, had his surgery, had his leg he was healing up. We went out there the following week and kicked somebody's ass, you know what I mean? Like, and put to ass, you know what I mean? Like, it just sometimes those little things like that can be motivating factors.
Before we go, listen to this injury report. Jalen Hyatt, tooth. Daniel Bellinger, neck. Jermaine Illuminor, pec. I don't even care about.
Did you say tooth? Did you say tooth?
Yes. Like,
did you say tooth?
Yeah, went to the dentist. He don't play anyway. I don't really care. He doesn't really matter. I don't even know why he's on the injury report. But tooth. Daniel Bellinger, neck. Jermaine Illuminor, pec. Greg Van Roten's old, so they gave him a rest day. Chauncey, neck. Paulson Aladipo, knee. Cordell Flock, concussion. Art Green, hamstring. All did not practice on Wednesday. Okay, that's another reason why I'm a little nervous about this going into this game. That's all. Because you're so banged up. I
got it.
And even though they're banged up, we're banged up in spots that we don't need to be banged up in, right? So, but anyways,
no, I feel you. I absolutely feel you. I feel you for sure. Like I said, it's not that you're not making good points. Like I said, you're making very good, valid points. It's not. I don't know. I just really believe in, and I know you're not saying you don't believe in Dart, but I'm just saying I believe in that he's going to be the difference maker in this game. I really believe that. Man, I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth pulled and went to work the same damn day. I don't want to hear that shit. I went to work the same damn day after getting all 4 of mine yanked out of my mouth. Stitches in my mouth, everything. I went to work the same day.
What does it matter? He doesn't play anyways. He's going to be a healthy scratch on Sunday regardless. So I don't care about his practice status.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even use that guy.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, what they should have just.
You're right.
Hyatt's not here. Okay, great. I'm glad you told me.
What's he got? 3 catches on the season?
I don't know, man. Like the guy.
Here we are, week 9. He's got three catches on the season.
Yeah, but you
3 catches for like less than 20 yards.
Bo Collins was in over him. Like, I don't care about this guy. Like, screw this guy. Screw his freaking tooth. Like, that needs to be on the injury report. Oh well, a guy that doesn't play.
That's so ridiculous.
A guy that doesn't play is on the injury report. Like what? Like I care about Jalen.
That is so
like,
ridiculous. I've never heard such nonsense.
Yeah, well,
I've never heard such nonsense. But
anyways,
all right, guys, man. Look, everybody, appreciate y'all coming in. No mess, no nest, no jets. Joe Ferry's in the building. Wells popped in at late, man. I'm glad to see you. Good to see you, Wells. Hope everything is going well with you and the wife, man. Anybody else I missed? Bookends, Chad. Appreciate all you guys coming in today, hanging out with us. David from Cedar Hills, Texas. Tudo. Always gonna appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate all y'all. We'll be back next Wednesday for another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Make sure y'all go to Mac the Giants fan, hit that subscribe button, hit the likes, and make sure you ring that bell for when you know I'm dropping content, man. Go to Adam's channel and hit the subscribe and like the stream, share it out. Hit the ring the bell for when he's dropping content as well. Go to the Hardcore Sports Network and do all of the same stuff, man. So keep supporting the Hardcore Sports Network as well. We'll be back next Wednesday, like I said, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Mac the Giants fan. This super dope co-host Adam Costas. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants fan. That's MACDA Giants fan.